Right now, we are getting John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Let's be honest, John Jones should be fighting Tom Aspinall this weekend. That's what should be happening. The undisputed champion should be fighting the interim champion. But because it's John Jones, he was allowed to say, well, hang on a minute. I was supposed to be fighting the greatest heavyweight of all time. I want to do that fight. You can't allow him to do that again. You can't allow him, to the detriment of the division, to then say, well, I'm going to fight this other guy. No. If he wants to do that, you take the belt off him. It's that simple. This fight week, we get to see something relatively new for John Jones, a man that has been there, done it, got the T-shirt, got that GOAT status, but he's never performed at Madison Square Garden. He's got the opportunity to do it on Saturday night. I'm looking forward to seeing him in action against Stipe Miocic. Got plenty of thoughts on that particular fight, of which we'll get to in a minute. But we've got to pick up on the interviews that John's been doing this week. He's not been backwards in coming forwards. He's been asked many questions. Kevin Iole, the great Kevin Iole, asked him a question this week about, listen, you come through Stipe, you look good against Stipe. Are you going to defend the heavyweight championship against the interim champion, Tom Aspinall? Because that's what should happen, ladies and gentlemen. Undisputed champion should defend against the interim champion. That's what should happen. And John's answer was, most likely not. And then he went on to give an answer which can be split up into two, right? Because he says that Tom Aspinall hasn't proven anything. And then he says, I am not willing to gamble on somebody else making a name off the back of me. Now, there's two parts to that, of which I'll tackle in a minute. But what did you make of those answers, Brendan, from the great John Jones?
I can see both sides. I can see both sides to what he's saying. It's going to be interesting because we'll get into this now, won't we, Adam?
We will.
But, I mean, look, here's the thing. Top and bottom of the situation. Tom is an unbelievably dangerous fight for John Jones. Unbelievably dangerous, yeah?
Yeah.
Essentially, how I take what he was saying is, Pereira's an easier fight for me. I'm at the end. He's a bigger name. And I'd rather just end it on that. That's how I interpret it. And am I okay with that? I mean, would I do the same in his position? Probably. Do I understand where he's coming from? A little bit. So obviously it's not right. And I know you're going to come here now and you're going to go fully in. I see your face. I know you're ready for it. I see his point. Is it right? No. Would I probably do it? Probably, yeah.
Here's where I'm at with it. Here we go. Right. So John Jones is one of the very few fighters within the UFC that has earned the right to kind of have a say in what happens, right? Because of the body of work, the murderer's row that he went through at light heavyweight, and just because of the stature of who he is. So he does get a say, absolutely he does, but not to the detriment of the division. Right now, we are getting John Jones versus Stipe Miocic because that was originally scheduled a year previous. It was supposed to be last year, wasn't it? And at the time, nobody really was that upset about it being for the heavyweight championship. Even though Stipe is coming off a knockout loss to Francis, he's been out of the Octagon for a long period of time. He probably hasn't earned the right to get back in, but he is the greatest statistically UFC heavyweight. So nobody batted an eyelid, especially with the rest of the runners and riders underneath vying for that position. Because at the time, we still had Pavlovich coming through. Aspinall was still looking for a little bit coming off the back of his injury. You had Almeida, you had a few others running and riding. But time has moved on, and the division now looks an awful lot different. So therefore, a year on from the original scheduled fight, let's be honest, John Jones should be fighting Tom Aspinall this weekend. That's what should be happening. The undisputed champion should be fighting the interim champion because this isn't boxing. We remove all doubt. We unify everything. We get everything sorted. But because it's John Jones, he was allowed to say, well, hang on a minute. I was supposed to be fighting the greatest heavyweight of all time. I want to do that fight. So we've allowed that to happen, all right? That's going to play out on Saturday night. You can't allow him to do that again. You can't allow him, to the detriment of the division, to then say, well, I'm going to fight this other guy. No. If he wants to do that, you take the belt off him. It's that simple. He's no longer the heavyweight champion of the world, and you allow the division to move on. You can't force him to fight Tom Aspinall. I get that bit. But you can say, well, hang on a minute. Our heavyweight champion fights the interim champion. Are you our heavyweight champion? Well, I want to fight this other guy. Well, you're not our heavyweight champion then. Go and fight the other guy. We'll sanction it. That's cool. That's no problem. We'll make that happen for you because of the respect we've got for you. But you're not disrespecting our divisions. The division moves on. Tom Aspinall moves on, upgraded or whatever. He fights a Cyril Gane or a Volkov or whoever's the next contender. And the real heavyweight champion of the world is crowned. That's my take on his attitude towards wanting Pereira over Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that is, what should happen. But I do think, oh God, it's tough. It's tough here now because you put me in a position of being a fighter, a pundit, and Tom's mate. So it's like,
well, just watch him as a fighter because I get it. I completely get it from him. The thing from John's point of view is this, right? So he's answered that question this way. He's answered the question as Tom Aspinall hasn't proven anything, right? That was his first part of that answer. Well, let me just give you some stats. You know I love my stats, so let me give you the stats, right? So in 2011, John Jones got an opportunity to fight Shogun, right? He came in last minute for Rashad to become the light heavyweight champion, didn't he? To that point, John Jones hadn't proven anything. Let me give you the stats. He'd had 7 UFC fights and he was 6-1. All right, the one was a disqualification, but he was 6-1 off those 7 fights. 4 of those 6 wins were finishes, 2 in the first round, 2 fight night bonuses. Go look at the level of fighter that he beat. There's not many top 10 contenders there. There's a Stephan Bonner, a legend of the game, but there's not too many other big names there. Tom Aspinall right now has had 9 fights in the UFC. He's 8-1, and again, that one is a technical knockout with a knee injury. But the 8 wins are all 8 finishes. 7 of them are in the first round, and he's got 7 fight night bonuses. Go and look at how many of the current top 10 Tom Aspinall has beaten. 7 of them. He's beaten 7 of the current top 10. So don't tell me that he hasn't earned the right or proven anything, because he absolutely has. And if John Jones's attitude towards Tom Aspinall not proving anything, well, John, I'm sorry to say, in 2011, if that's your barometer for proving something, you didn't prove anything up to the point of getting the shot against Shogun. Tom Aspinall's current record far outweighs what John did in 2011 before he got his shot. Don't get me wrong. After 2011, we're talking about the something of legend from John Jones, right? But up to the point of getting the shot, Tom Aspinall's body of work so far outweighs that, and he's absolutely earned the right to have a shot at the heavyweight championship.
You're 100% right. I'm with you on all the facts and figures because numbers never ever lie. But to the average casual MMA fan, which fight do they rather see?
I'm not denying that John Jones versus... Are you talking Alex Pereira now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what everyone wants to see. And UFC are providing a service and pay-per-views, and that is exactly the road they're going to go down to make the most money, aren't they, really? That's how it looks. And so you're saying you get rid of the belt then, basically, you're saying?
I'm not against the fight. Like Alex Pereira's a superstar. Look what he's doing. Yeah. Alex Pereira's whole career, just to put this fight at the weekend in context, right? Alex Pereira's whole UFC career has played out since we last saw Stipe Miocic in the Octagon. He's had 10 fights in the UFC. We haven't seen Stipe in that whole period of time. He has been sensational. He's a 2-weight world champion, and I don't know what weight John's talking about. Is John talking about coming back down to light heavy, or is he thinking of staying at heavy and maybe bringing Alex up and all that type of thing? Great. But have that fight, but have it after you've had Tom Aspinall. Or relinquish the belt, let the division move on, and then go and have your fun fight. You can't hold the division up any longer. We've waited 18 months. It's not fair. That's not how this game works.
I mean, we're talking about MMA here and not fair. We're talking about like Colby Covington just getting thrown in title fights left, right, and centre. Like the world isn't fair, and MMA is not fair. It's really not. And if I know Dana White, and if I know MMA, Pereira's getting the next fight with John Jones. Like it, don't like it. That's probably what they're going to do, right?
Let's hope not, because the second part of his answer to Kevin Iole, after he said that Tom's not proven anything, he said this, that I'm not willing to gamble at this period in time on somebody else making a name off the back of me, right? My take on that is very, very simple. Every fight is a gamble. Every fight, every single time that you step inside that cage, that octagon, it is a gamble. It's not guaranteed what is going to happen. So why is John not willing to gamble against this guy, against Tom Aspinall? The reason for that is because he knows full well that that is the biggest threat to his undefeated record. And
Agreed.
by saying that out loud, it only makes me think that John doesn't think he can beat him.
I mean, listen, it's on a plate for a minute. He is John Jones, and it's like, do you want Pereira or do you want Tom Aspinall? He gets a choice because of what his body of work in the UFC and who he is and what he's done. And that's how it looks to me. And I know who I'm choosing if I'm John Jones as well.
Of course.
I know.
You take the path of least resistance. Of course you do.
And that's the way it's going to go by the looks of it. Let's just see. You never know. You said the other day that you think he's going to lay it all down in the Octagon. To me, after hearing him, I don't think he is.
I don't.
I think he's definitely fighting Pereira next.
And well, I'll tell you what I hope this is. John's not stupid. He's a very clever man, right?
He is very clever.
And I hope what he's doing is, well, hang on a minute. Let's have a look at this. The fans are at me. Dana's at me. The UFC's at me. All these people are calling me this, that, and the other, right? But let's just weigh it up properly. What is the reward for John Jones in fighting and beating Tom Aspinall, right? Well, in fight, there's a massive risk here because if he loses, does it dilute anything? I don't think it dilutes any of his legacy that has come previously. That is etched in stone. It's going into the Hall of Fame. But getting beat off the next generation, from a John point of view, could he live with that? I don't know if he could. What if he beat the next generation? I think it takes his legacy to a whole new level. If he could beat the next generation as well as all the previous generations, wow, man, you're never going to talk about GOATs again. It's done. It's absolutely nailed on.
Yeah, but
what I think he's doing, but again, that risk is a massive, massive risk.
Yeah.
So therefore, the reward has to exceed it. What I think John's doing here is going, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden you get another note on the end of that paycheck. He goes, go on, man. Stick another one on. Stick another one on, and I might just think about it. Because let's be honest, the more we talk about it, the more we hype it, the more that everybody's on John's case, the more eyeballs want to see that fight. It's a supply and demand game. John's not thick. I think he's looking for that. I really do. Because I genuinely believe you don't think he wants it?
I don't. I disagree. I disagree. I think he's done very well at the sport. I think he's got some good money put behind him. I think he's got some good assets. His brothers are NFL superstars. They're not struggling for dough over there. They're really not, yeah? I think...
That's fair.
It's true. I think his legacy is way, way, way more important to him than any zeros. The risk massively outweighs the reward of fighting Tom Aspinall. Massively, like ridiculously. It's there, Adam. That's Pereira now. The reward and the risk is the other side. It's the complete other way. Yeah. So if I'm John Jones and I'm 40 and I know I'm slowing down, I am fighting Alex Pereira. I'm not hearing the Tom Aspinall name again. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm at the end. I'm a legend in this sport. I'm a legend forever. I don't care if a couple of little eggs on Twitter start chatting Tom Aspinall's name on my Instagram account when I'm worth whatever I'm worth, and I'm probably going to get the same for fighting Pereira as I'm fighting that Tom Aspinall. Am I wrong? Probably going to get the same. So it's like, I've got to look at the path of least resistance here because I am 40. I get out of bed and my back hurts now. So them days are gone. Them killer days when I was 21 and I was just choking Machida out, dropping him on his head. All them days are gone. These days are last bit a few quid, cement your legacy. Stipe, greatest in theory heavyweight of all time. Alex Pereira's banging everyone out, but stylistically I know that's a great fight for me. Take him, then I'm off.
He's not wrong, is he?
I'm off, dude. I'm off, and then for the rest of my life, I'm going to get eggs on Twitter saying, but you ducked Tom Aspinall. And I'm sat there with a cocktail on the beach going, yeah, I did.
And what? Yeah, right.
That's it.
You're right. And then, just pump the brakes on all of this. This could all go tits up at the weekend if Stipe Miocic lands a one-ton bomb on him.
Oh, wow. Wow, there's so many moving parts to this whole thing, isn't there?